and it's a story time how God delivered me from the hands of kidnappers back home in Nigeria. You heard me right. Hello beautiful people, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Olivia. If you're seeing me for the first time, thank you, welcome. I'm a Nigerian YouTuber who is based here in South Africa with her family, and I make various content. So definitely you'll see something you would like to watch on this channel, feel free to hit on the subscribe button, and when you do, hit on the bell sign. That way you'll be notified of my subsequent videos, okay? And if you're a returning subscriber, you're an OG, oh my god, thank you so much. I really appreciate each and every one of you, okay? And yeah, please give this video a thumbs up. In today's video is a story time of God, how God delivered me from the hands of ritual killers. Yes, like ritual killers, people that do all sorts, people that kidnap somebody, do all sorts, probably take away the person's organ, or I don't know, horrible things, or I don't know, like just evil people. You know, when you hear somebody is missing and the person is never found, those are the kind of people that the person maybe has fallen into their hands, and the person, who knows what they do a lot of things, horrible things, unspeakable things. So it's just a testimony of how God delivered me from the hands of those people. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. At this time, I was about, say, 18 to 19 years, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I was trying to gain admission into the university in Nigeria. If you're Nigerian, you know how Nigerian university system works. It's not like here, or it's not like other parts of the world. After writing your final exams, which is our WAEC exam, you still have to write another exam called UME, that's JAMB exam. Then after that JAMB exam, at this particular year, they introduced something they called post-UME, that's post-JAMB. I mean, you have to write 3 exams before you gain admission. It was horrible, it was a disaster. So that was the first year they introduced that, and I was unfortunate enough to to fall into that batch where they were writing that post-UME. And you know, Nigeria is a disaster especially when they introduce something new, like they're not yet acquainted to the system. It's always a disaster. So at this point, I applied for another university. It's like Abia State University in Nigeria. I am from Imo State and I live in Imo State, but I applied to go to Abia State University. So I had to write that post-UME in Abia State University. So I went and wrote the post-UME. I think you had to check the result again in that university where you wrote it, or something like that. I can't remember how it worked. So that's very fateful day, and I went to check that post-UME results, and lo and behold, I think the system had problems and my result was not found. I think they omitted, or they lost my result, or in fact what the system was telling me is your result is unscannable. Like, it was a disaster. And you can imagine a youngster that was hoping to gain admission into the university. I was getting that like I don't have a result. That means no university for me that year. I was devastated. I was broken. I started coming back from Abia State. If you're a Nigerian or from the eastern part of Nigeria, you know Abia State University is in Okigwe. So I entered another bus coming back from Okigwe. I got to Owerri that evening. My elder sister is in Imo State University. She's in Owerri. So I had to go. You know, when you're broken, you need somebody to console you and all that. I went to my sister's hostel. I think then she was in her second year or third year. I went to her hostel and she was not around. I think she went on a weekend to one of my relatives' house or something. So she was staying with my cousin, one of my cousins too, in the hostel. Like, they were living together. So it was only that my cousin that I saw. And then my cousin was like, so why is your face like this now? I told her everything, and she's like, hey, yeah, sorry, don't worry, you'll be fine. I said, where is my sister? She said she's not, she told me she's not around. I was like, I said, waiting, that kind of thing. I was not feeling okay already. I said, let me start going. Already I had waited for my sister for a while. I started going. I said, I told my cousin I have to start going. She said, but it's late now. And yes, it's actually late. I said, no, I'll go. Because one thing that happens to me mainly is when I'm like, I always try to find comfort in my mom. Then when I was young, I still do. I knew that the only place I could feel fine this night was going home, going back to my mom. So I said, let me go, since my sister is not even here. Like, I'm going to be here alone with you, my cousin. I said going. So at the time, I should enter a bus, right? Like what we call a taxi here in South Africa. I should enter a bus. We have a bus park, but because it was late already, it's ITC then, Imo Transport Company. Because it was late, ITC park has closed. I had to like do drops, you know, 2 or 3 drops. So I entered the bike Okada. If you've not watched the video, I talked about Nigerian things we normally do for fun in Nigeria. I will link it on the description. I entered that Okada. I went to somewhere that I will get a bus. Yeah, to Mbidi Junction, where we call Mbidi Junction, before I'll now get another one to Uguta, where we stay. So it was already getting late. This should be happening around like say 6:30-ish or 7. Yeah. So I was just there, you know, they were collecting money and everything. So when I gave the driver the money, I said, driver, please, Mbidi Junction, no. You know, that was what I told him. Mbidi Junction, like I told him my junction, you know, because you have to tell him, because they drop. You don't tell them, they can, you know, drive past you. So I gave him I said Mbidi. He said, okay. They gave me the change for how much. Lo and behold, one guy close to me said, are you going to Mbidi? I looked. Normal me, I'm normally articulate and all that. So when I finish this story, I will tell you the moral lesson as usual, okay? From like I do in all my story times. I looked at the guy. Normal me, I will not answer him or I'll be more diplomatic about it. But I told him yes, because I was sad, you know. I told him yes, I'm going to Mbidi. He said okay. When we get he said I'm also going to Mbidi. He said, where are you dropping at Mbidi? I looked. Normally, I would have still not answered that, but I said, no, I'm going to Uguta. He said, oh, I'm going to Uguta too. Oh, okay, you know what? When you drop, follow me. I have a car. We can go together. So me on a normal day. But I'm like, whatever. Okay, in my mind, you know, somebody that was not feeling herself. I said, okay. The guy was looking at me at the bus. You know, I didn't even suspect anything. In fact, my mind was not there, because if my mind was there, I would have probably processed it while on the bus, putting 2 and 2 together and all that. But I didn't process anything, because I was just thinking about my life, how I will not enter university that year. You know, you know how it is, young people in Nigeria. So we got to Mbidi Junction. The guy dropped. I dropped. He said, okay, let's go. Okay. I started following him. Following him. It's not like he forced me. He said, I parked my car somewhere. So in that our junction, it's like a junction where you also see cars, like small cars now, like mini cars. Let me say normal cars now, no more taxis that will now take you to Uguta. So this whole trip from Uguta, Mbidi Junction to Owerri is like say 45-50 minutes. So Mbidi Junction to Uguta is like say 30 minutes. Or 35, let me just say 35 minutes. Owerri, like from Owerri to Mbidi Junction, where we stopped, was like say 35 minutes. Then from Mbidi Junction to Uguta was like say 15 minutes. Let me just put it that way. So say roughly 50 minutes or 55 minutes or 1 hour max. So it wasn't a long journey. It wasn't so long. So this guy said, okay, let's go. I saw all the cars that are supposed to, you know, had it been I wanted to enter, and the next car going to Uguta, the cars I was supposed to enter, they were all there parked, you know, in the evening, in the middle of the road, looking for passengers. But I followed the guy. We walked a little. There was a house we entered by that Mbidi Junction too. He entered the garage. He told the people, he went inside and told the people something. They came and opened the garage for him. Lo and behold, the only way that caught my attention was he drove out a very big car. As at then, that should be like a padded V-boot or something. A big car. One mind said, if this man had this big car, that was my mind told me. How come he took a bus to Owerri from Mbidi Junction? Like, this car is very sound and very nice. Why did he not take it to Owerri? That was what my mind told me. You know, he was almost coming. So he came out. He drove in. I entered. This is where the magic happened. When I entered, This man stooped and took something from the boot of his car and put it by his side pocket. Lo and behold, that was a gun. Oh my God. I was so scared. I was like, a gun? Then I realized, I looked around the car. Oh my God. I said, oh my God, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. You know when your mind is bing, bing, bing. The car was tinted, like, you know what we call tinted, like tinted glass. When the car is not transparent, people cannot see inside. That was that car. As at this point, I had already entered the car. I said, Jesus, this is it, this is it. This must be a kidnapper or something, or these people that use people for money ritual. That was what my mind told me immediately. You know, when something is happening, I did not process. Another thing that stood out for me with that man again was in Uguta. If you're going to, okay, he was supposed to be going to Uguta, right? That means he's from Uguta, right? Okay. Uguta has a unique dialect. Uguta doesn't have every other dialect, like every Imo people. Like their dialect stands out, and I know it. I grew up there. So if you're speaking a dialect, if you want to mimic Uguta dialect, I will know. Everybody will know. So me, that man was not speaking Uguta dialect. He was not speaking. He was trying to, like, you know, I don't know how to explain it to you. I don't know, but he was not speaking exactly. So it's like he's not from Uguta. That's the long and short of the whole thing. Is not that this man is not from Uguta, because an Uguta man they have their mannerism, they have the way they behave, they have their dialects. And an Uguta man doesn't speak ordinary like Central Igbo, my Igbo language. They have very conked and twisted dialect. You don't miss it. So these were the things I did not put together in the car. Okay, so what did I do immediately? My name is Chinomso. What I found myself doing all the days of my life is that when I'm in any situation, my name is Chinomso, meaning God is near me. I just said, oh God, oh thou God that is near me, come now. That was what I said, because it was this thing that was happening in the twinkle of an eye. I saw his gun. I looked at the car. It was tinted. He was just you know, it's all about reversing. Then piam. I just said in my mind, oh thou God that is near me, come and deliver me now. That was all. This man started reversing. Do you know what God did? Men and brethren, brothers and sisters, this God, is wonderful. This man was reversing out, and you know, by the streets there are gutters. Immediately I said that thing, this man's car entered inside the gutter as he was reversing. I just looked around. He said, oh shit. I said, what happened? He said, oh, my tire. I said, bros, wait, let me go and call people that will help us. I didn't even allow him to say okay or not. I just opened the car. I just bing, 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 bing. Oh my God. Do you know what I did? I went to all those, because I can't trek back to Uguta. I still need a transport, you know. So I just went to those people by the roadside that we saw, you know, those normal transport people. I called one of them. I think I know him. He's a driver, an Uguta driver. I said, brother, look at what happened. There's one man. He said, yes, I saw you following one man. I think I was greeting you. I said, yes. He said, let us go and go to Uguta, but I don't know him. I don't trust him. Please, I want to enter. I don't want to follow him again. The man said, okay, car. I said, please, he might come to look at. He said, where is the man? I said, he might be coming. He said, okay, sit down here. Let me see how this man will come and take you now. All these Uguta people, oh my God. That's one thing I miss about Nigeria, the warmth. And by the time you know it, one of my aunties around my neighborhood, she sells, I think, fish and yam or something. She entered that. She went to another market. She's finished selling her market. She went to Mbidi market. She finished selling her things, you know. She came to the boss. She said, oh, Chino, so you're here? I said, yes. So I told her what happened. She said, Chineke, are you serious? Before you know it, this man started coming. He started walking. And the man was wearing black and black. One short man, ugly man, that his face looked bleached. You know, all these people that look like a bodyguard or look like some hardcore criminals. They usually have a look. Somehow, if you look very well, wear some kind of chain, you know, that kind of thing. The man came, he said, I'm looking for a girl. I was with her in my car spot. They said there's no girl here. I just hid inside the car. He was looking at all the cars. He said, no, one girl I passed with her. We are going. You know, the drivers were saying, there's no girl here, go, we didn't see her. She said, no, but that girl was here. And they said, we don't know you, Oga, where are you from? Or they started interrogating him, where are you from? He said, why are you asking me? I said, I'm looking for somebody. We are going, see, my car is there, and then my car entered. She came to look for, I just want to know if she's fine. They said, there's no girl, go, even if she's not fine. Is it your sister? She said, no. He's go now. Is it your child? The man said, no. I then go. Don't look for her too much. Nigerians, oh my God. They interrogated him and wanted to harass him. You know, all those drivers, you know, motor park drivers wanted to harass him and all that. He entered his car and view. And I actually, instead of him to be going to put aside, he zoomed like this. Men and brethren, that was how my mind came down. And that was how God delivered me. See, guys, in Nigeria, everywhere in the world, especially in Nigeria, in fact, everywhere in the world, you see missing child. My child was missing 10 years ago. They never saw her. She only went to where? She only went to Botako. She only went to... These are the stories. Okay. Now, the moral lesson of the story. Remember, I was feeling sad. I was feeling bad, right? When you're sad, don't take any decision. When you are sad, don't take any important life decisions, because had it been my cousin actually said, stay, don't go, Chinomso, don't go. I said no, because I was sad. Don't take any decision when you're sad. And again, did you see traveling at night? It's very dangerous. Do you know, I just remembered this story and decided to share because I was gisting something with my mom, and I remembered this story and she remembered it with me. Traveling at night is not the best thing for anybody. And if you have a child, give that child a positive name, a good name. I'll guide the child. Did you see how I called God? Oh, thou God of Chinom. So that is God that is near me. If you're near me, come down now. And God manifested in a split second. Give your child a positive name, a good name that will, lead that child the rest of their lives. I can't tell you how many times God has delivered me from different dangers because of my name. Lastly, be smart, be brave. If I was still I didn't take that bold step and ran out. I said, but let me call those people for you that will help us. So in all, I hope you enjoyed the story. I hope you appreciate God with me. For me, it's just a testimony. Like, it's just one of those life testimonies for me. Please give this video a thumbs up and tell me what you think on the comment section. Have you experienced all this kind of thing before? Have you experienced kidnappers? Do you know somebody that has had a similar experience? Tell me on the comment section. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye.